Alrighty, let's get going. Synchronize for the audio that I never really use because it doesn't really seem to matter, because I don't edit videos, because I'm too lazy, because I stay up too late, to 3 in the morning, watching things I shouldn't. Alrighty, look at this, the fight of the fists. Okay. Alright, so, yeah, this damn board, it was working last night. You saw me replace the SMC and it was working. This morning, I plug it in and it works for about 3 seconds and then it dies. And I was like, what the flipping heck? You know, it's like, what have I got, a cursed board here? Something's killing the SMCs. So I took the SMC off, and what is interesting though is this time that the 3V42 did not come back to normal. So what I've done is I've taken the 3V42 off. I checked the divider resistors for the feedback network and they were fine, they were spot on, well within 1% anyway. They were within tolerance and that's what mattered. And so yeah, it's just really I want to say perplexing. Well, I'm going to say perplexing, but believe me, it's another P word that P double word that I want to say about what it's been doing to me, because my goodness, it's been frustrating. Anyway, it's been another hour or two, and I'm now going to see if it's still giving me a 342 or, you know, something else. Alright, looks like I've missed out on everybody saying hello. I do apologize. It's late at night. It's been an interesting evening thus far. I have ordered my replacement camera and I've pretty much organized already for someone to take this one, because this camera that we're using right now, along with the adapter, it's a very good camera. It's just, you know, I want to move up to 60 frames per second, so understandably I have to change. Okay. So that's another $600 US sent to the sent to someone else, all in the proceeds of having better YouTube videos. Alright, so we do have 342 still, so what I'm actually going to do is take one of the existing SMCs that we have had on this board and reball it and put it back on and see what happens. Hey Rob Brown, coder. By the way, pick me for your software. Haha, make it look legit. I'll tell you what, slip me 179, well, actually, you know what, make it 200 US, and I will do just that for you. How's that sound? Seems like a pretty good deal to me, considering it's a little, you know, a little bit on the illegal side, so we'll just add. Yeah, I think 200 is fair, and we'll make sure you get a copy. Am I selling? Yeah, I'm probably going to send it down to some scam artist here in Australia, because it's not just the camera that you need. You need to get the proper reduction adapter, and with the existing camera here, it uses a 1 on 2.8 inch sensor, so let's call it a 1/3 inch sensor, and subsequently you need a 0.35 reducer to make sure you get the proper field of view. If you use a reducer that is not as strong as 0.35, then you're going to see the edges of the barrel. When you look down the view piece, you'll see around the corners of the image, like around this sort of area, you'll see the actual black round barrel of the optical tube. So you've got to make sure you get the right reducer to ensure that you get the maximum image. Hey Shady Hacker, yes, you did finally catch on. Hey Wayne Taylor. And with the new camera that I'm getting, it has a 1 on 1.8 inch sensor, so roughly a 1 on 1.8, so yeah, about a 1/2 inch in effect. So that's a bigger sensor, which means you need less reduction. So I'll be using a 0.5 reducer, and of course that's a fair bit more money again. Yeah, if you want to get a decent quality, then you've got to pay for decent optics. And I'll be getting it from the same store that I got this one from, even though it is from Alibaba, or AliExpress rather. But I've had this camera 4 years, and the fact that the store is actually still very much around and they respond very quickly is a pretty good sign. You get what you pay for, you certainly do, in most cases, yeah. And like I said, this case, it's a reputable store. I mean, I've used them before, they're still around, so in my opinion, that's pretty good going. Now, it will be a 4K camera, but I will not be using it as 4K, I'll be using it 60 frames per second at standard HD or 1080. Now, maybe later on I can go 4K, but the trouble is I'll probably actually have to do a full upgrade, because I don't think I'll ever actually want to back away from 60 frames per second after this. I sooner would have higher frame rate, as in 60, than higher pixel count. There's just that beautiful clarity that comes with it. Now obviously you can't see that because right now we are, of course, on the 30 frames per second camera. If you look at my tools page, you'll see the existing camera on there. It's that store, as well as the adapter, the reducer. It's RE something, RE Electronics. Let's see, Kodo just had to buy a new 4K camera too. Dead CPU on 1.5. Ah, that's nasty. Yeah. I mean, if I could do 4K 60, sure, I'd do that. But if I had to choose between 4K and HD, that's 4K 30 versus HD 60, I will, for this particular work, I will go the 60 frames per second, because I find it just really makes the crispness improve significantly, and particularly when I'm reviewing old footage, trying to find out where I went wrong, I find that the higher frame rate is nicer. Okay, I just got to clean my stencil because I didn't clean it last night. I am feeling some level of resentment though, because of the fact that I could have been running 60 frames per second for the last 2 or 3 years. 4K 60 might not be worth it now, but I think in terms of an archive format, it's nice to have. And like with YouTube, like I watch 2K stuff mostly, because like I got a 27-inch iMac, and that does 2160. Oh, 2160 or 1440? Sorry, I think I mean 1440. 2560 by 1440. Anyway, yeah, so I like to watch 1440. And so at least if you do capture at 4K 60, you can always, downscale. Riston, I did. Thanks for reminding me. I got all those codes, yes, thank you. Things just kind of got a little bit crazy. Hey, where's... Like now, when you go on YouTube and look back at, say, your favorite channels or whatever, and you look at the videos they did at 1080 compared to, say, if they're doing 4K now, and you kind of feel like you wish they had 4K in the past. Because once you get used to that higher resolution, that's burning, it makes you realize how you didn't have that data in the past, or something could look better. To be fair, there's a lot of really bad HD recordings. Resolution is not everything. You do need to have good optics to make it really work. What's Sony's sensor? Let me bring it up and we'll have a look. I think it's a 336 or something. I can't remember exactly. Just hang on there. I just realised I do not have my credentials for logging into the site on this machine for obvious reasons. So let's go to schematics. Oh, so this is the one I have right now, and it's still quite expensive. I think it's a bit wrong of them to be saying 60 frames per second here, because it really is just it's double pumped 30, and they reveal that information a little bit later down. Interestingly enough though, this sensor will do 60. It's the one that Lewis and Paul S use, and yeah, everything is, you would think it would be it, but yeah, so it says 60 frames per second HDMI output, but it is just simply what is it? I'm trying to think of here. Yeah, it says here, note, the captured frame rate from the sensor is 30 frames per second, so it's a little bit naughty of them putting that in small writing. I think that's unfair, but yeah, live and learn. Okay, but now we'll go to the one that I'm going to get. See if I can find it. And that's this one here. Okay, so this is the LMX334 sensor. And I'll be coupling it with, yeah, so this is a proper 60 frame per second 4K. Although it's probably only, let's see, what is it? I will do yeah, 60 at 4K. That's pretty cool. So that's future-proof for me at least. It doesn't look quite as nice as the one I've got, but obviously it must be better. Yeah, what was I looking for? And then I've had to buy one of these sort of, okay, this is the 0.35, I'm buying the 0.5, but yeah, essentially that's it. Anyway, let's get back to the repairs. Autofocus. I'm not personally really bothering with autofocus. I have seen it. Chris Long had one, and then yeah, maybe they've improved it since he had one. But a lot of the time the autofocus seems to just hunt when it comes to our sort of work. Yeah, okay, that's the other nice thing. I was thinking I could have kind of got away with using my existing 0.35 reducer, but the reason why I went for the expense of getting a 0.5 reducer, like basically another, you know, buy another reducer, was because a 0.5 will inherently have less optical losses compared to a 0.35. So I figured I'm more than happy to pay the $100 to get a superior image, or basically just get more light into the sensor. It's not too bad. I've only got like 4, 8, 5, 13 balls too many there. That's pretty good going. It's about the best I've done in a long time. I figure also if you get decent optics, then you can usually get a bit of a gain in terms of depth of field. And if you've got a decent depth of field, then it sort of becomes like your autofocus in a way. So you can afford to be a little bit sloppy. See you, Travis. Ah, g'day, Keith. Yeah, it's the same Mac from yesterday. I'm trialing something here, trying to see whether it was killing SMCs or whether it was actually a flaky 342 regulator setup that was emulating the killing of SMCs. Do them by hand. Oh no, I'm gonna be happy to stay as an old person in that respect. No way I'm doing them by hand. Okay, I'm just trying to spend a bit more time and get this hotter so that the flux melts. Oh, that was a freaking disaster. Have I got any balls stuck in my flux? No. No biggie. We'll just roll them back into their positions. And for this instance, maybe I will actually go down to 250 or something like that, so that the flux doesn't get so aggravated. What have we got? 250, we're going up. I'll make it 290, let's see how it behaves. And 40% air. The supplies come. Oh yeah, I got the. I did get the pergola, but by gosh, I haven't had a chance to actually get out there. And we've had rain, rain, and rain. I'm kind of worried that my pergola kit's going to get warped now. That flux is still bobbling away. Less severe, but it is definitely bobbling still. Have I got a missing? Reballed a Southbridge by hand yesterday. That's crazy. And he's no stencil, hey? And Nelson. Okay, I feel like I'm missing. I got. Yeah, those are definitely missing. Where did they go? Oh well, good thing we've got spares floating around here. Honestly, it's like I got half nuts down there or something. Okay, well they went in without any drama. Yeah, it all looks good. Okay, it looks like with the Atom, we're going to have to stick at about the 280, 290 mark and just go slow. It doesn't... I still have the issue of it snaring a few out when I drop the flux on it. But at least we can control the reflow reasonably okay now. The other option I can go for is just simply to get a flux that has a low viscosity in the first place. Hey, Wong Wei. What's this? You should attempt a successful bridging with hot air, chip replace. I guess you sort of work your way up, you know, you start with moving large size resistors and fuses around, and then SOT 23 chips, and then just sort of progressively work your way up. Reballing, it's not so much difficult in terms of being a mechanical skill, it's difficult in terms of finding the right balance of heat, air and technique. I mean, I've just changed, all I've done is change the hot air station, and I've had to start pretty much from square one again, when I already knew that the technique I had should have been working. So that gives you an idea of how frustrating it can be. Amit, you can buy from my... thank you for Didamraz, much appreciated. Thank you people for being my eyes and ears, as it were. I really need my other half tweezer. Hey Miles. You're welcome, thank you for that, Amit. I hate it when I do that. For some reason, I seem incapable, in many instances, of lifting something up off from a surface without having a sideways motion. Now, I don't know whether it's just me, probably is. SDB. There's always open board view. I mean, that's why we have open board view, so that people can also get in that. I mean, I have to ask, sort of like, how much do you charge for MacBook repairs? Because typically, in most cases, you can usually make the profit for flex, the cost of flex board view and profit in half a day or a day. Sometimes even one job, but usually certainly two. But I understand, different countries have different pricings. Okay, that's swimming. Hey, Catherine. But there's always open board view. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, we'll stick this into the cooler. Catherine, you are correct. Probably tomorrow, a little bit of less than, let's call it 20 hours from now, I will be doing the draw. We have over 1,000 entries at this point. Alright, let's see how we go. Let's see whether this is actually dead and I'm going to have to go into damage control mode, or whether we can have a win. I'm really hoping this is going to be a win, because I do not have access at this point to, what is this, 1.68 gig board, so I don't really have any of those as far as I know. Hey Rob, yeah, you should. Here we go. Crap, nothing. So it is killing SMCs, and it is... Good God. This is very frustrating. So the question is though, should I put one more SMC on it, a fresh one, or does 342 actually kill it? Looks like I got nothing there. Should have something. I don't know. You do get to a point sometimes where you wonder, some boards are just cursed, as it were. So this will be the second or third SMC, really, that it's killed. Like I said, I'll replace the 342. That's really makes me sad. So sad. Damn it. So all I can speculate is that the 3V42 regulator was being intermittent, and it would occasionally send through a bunch of stuff. But now the question is, if I replace the SMC and I replace the V-Reg, what else has been damaged? Wayne, I'm not sure. I mean, it's possible. 476. Remember though, my AliExpress, mine's coming over via courier as well. It looks like much the same. 476. It looks much the same. I mean, yeah, maybe it's cheaper. It's just I've dealt with this other guy a lot, and he's always been very fast to respond, so I sort of don't have a problem spending that little bit of extra. It's not a huge difference in price. And yeah, of course my cost was also with the adapter on it as well. Fortunately, Greg, I've dealt with this particular seller many times before. They've been around for quite a few years. Alright, so that looks clear. So let's see if we get 342 back now. So that's our 342 section. Okay, we're obviously not going to get anything showing up. Let's check our voltage. So we do have 342 back, so the SMC is definitely getting roasted each time. Morning, Mark. Yeah, I hate it when you get these boards where you feel like you're chasing your own tail around. Okay, I saw a 165 around here that maybe I haven't touched yet. Maybe I can do a replacement rather than risk it. All the other rails, well, it's a bit hard to tell without the SMC, because the SMC is what drives your, you need your PPBUS. Okay, so we do have a match board. Oh wait, this is 1173. Wait, what am I looking at? So this is 168. And this is 168. So we've got a match board, so maybe we can actually fix the match board and do a substitute. Will the cats draw the names? Ha! No, random signal generator will. Hey, Michael Triz. Alright, so I don't know what's wrong with this one. I'm going to guess that this is going to be one of the dreaded fake booters. It's going to pretend that it's starting and then it's not going to start. That's my guess. It's a ailment that plagues 165s. And I do hope that one day I can actually take a known good CPU and put it on one of these boards and see if it still does it. If it still does it, that's great, because that means then that the fault lies somewhere on the board as opposed to it's a dead CPU. Okay, Coda, have a good one. 540, this is going to be a dreaded. If this shuts down in 5 seconds or so, there, it's got a blown PCH already. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just saw the fan do a bit of a weird slowdown pickup, but we don't have CPU activity yet. So either we've got dead PCH, we do have warmth in the CPU, or dead CPU, or if we're lucky we've got a signal. Holy shit, it actually booted. The only thing is, the fact that that took so long to boot, I've noticed is a precursor to the failure mode that I don't like. So I feel like it's telling me that it's about to die. Based on experience. Either that or it's got an unstable SMC rail or something like that, and it just took a long time for it to sort itself out. So let's have a look over this board, see if there is any liquid damage or anything like that that we can have a look at. Because I was not expecting that to blink. So either there's corrosion on there that we can actually resolve. There's some corrosion in the JTAG-ish area, so maybe that's potential. Not quite willing to accept that as being the only thing. Okay, let's start over here. I've also got to make sure it's not a board I have worked on, but I don't think it is, because that fan was attached in a funny way. Okay, there we go. We've got corrosion right there and smack in the middle of the CPU area. And very, very close. These 4 resistors here, this is the 3v3 RTC that comes in, and this is where we often get a lot of our failures. And instead, we've got this sucker up here, which looks like he's taking a real hit with corrosion. So we might have a win here. I could really do with it. The only thing is, it means it sucks because I would have liked to have fixed their other board instead. Okay, we've got a little more corrosion up here. This kind of looks like bug-related and our 105 switch chip, that has got corrosion on it, so we'll fix that up. Allsys power good looks fine. BIOS looks fine. RTC clock, again a little tiny touch of corrosion there. I think I might be able to let that one slide. SMC, we've got a little bit of, it looks like it's basically just being used in a seaside sort of area. But certainly that CPU one is, I'd say, is the main thing. Hey Mohammed, good evening. Now, because I don't actually know what that corroded resistor is. but it certainly looks messed up. Now, I can always revisit that other board, but I'm not sure, given that I have a bit of a limitation on how many 165 SMCs I've got left, I'm somewhat disinclined. Alright, so this is the danger area, and this is the resistor that I wanted to say cap, but this is the resistor we have in interest. It's a pull down for power manager, DP, D power okay, DSW power good. Not sure where that one's from. Who's talking? It's coming out of the SMC. Alright. So basically, yeah, it's for S power, idle power good or fundamental power good. Alright. And it should be 100k. Okay, so when a resistor does this, and if it's a pull down like this is, and it's like 100k, you know, basically some arbitrarily largish value, then this sort of corrosion can get away with not being detected for quite a period of time. Generally speaking, as resistors fail, they tend to, yeah, get a bit longer in their resistance, a bit, you know, bigger in their resistance. And if you go from, say, 100k to 300k pull down, it's really not going to be something that you'll notice. I'm going to get rid of this cap though as well, so I'll get rid of the resistor and the cap. Where it can be a problem is if the corrosion is actually producing a much smaller resistance, in which case it can be hard for the circuitry trying to pull that line up. Although in this case it was just 342. Yeah, if it's too much it can be harder for the rail to pull that line up, but honestly I'd be very surprised. You'd have to be dropping down quite a lot in resistance. Okay, I've lost my... ah, there it is. Oh, shite, sorry. Anyway, we removed it. It's still definitely a weak point when it comes to my video setup. Unquestionably. Just wanted to check to see if that one was okay. It seems okay. Alright, we'll get a donor board and pull those parts. Yeah, the last stream got cut short. My system just froze solid, like really solid. Doesn't happen that often, but every now and then it will. Whether it had anything to do with the fact that I was running 60 with the new VA API driver, I'm not sure. It could have just been coincident. Some people would be like, oh, it's because you're using the stupid Intel driver. It's like, well, we don't know for sure. 855. Yeah, the donor board looks pretty because it was a proper board for a while, and then it blew its PCH up. It's the one that from a video the other night where you saw the PCH blow up on camera. Funny, Miles, I've always thought that the Linux, Intel graphics type drivers and stuff like that, I always thought they generally were much better than the Nvidia or AMD offerings. Certainly I've rarely had any issues with them. Ah, crikey, which one was it? Was it the third one? The third one. Oops, looks like someone forgot to freshen those pads back up with some leaded. It's going to be fun because this is cooled down now. Yep, as I said, fun. And there's well, I've been running the recording all day with my normal day-to-day jobs, and it hasn't misbehaved. So it's pretty good going so far. Hey, there's this. By the way, I got the refund on that T400 card, so I'm quite happy about that. That was very good of him. I thought it was hilarious though that moments after I ordered the T400 card, I find that non-free VA API driver, and it worked. It was pretty funny. Okay, where did we say? Okay, we want our 105 switch definitely needs to be changed. That could actually be the slowness thing. Miles, for me, Unix in general is a very natural environment, which is why I don't mind macOS. At least, you know, it has its Unix roots, and yeah, most of the functionality that I'm used to for general system general system stuff is already there. Windows will get there eventually, I'm sure. One day they'll come back into the fray. One day. Sonia, good evening. Should have chucked her on eBay for triple the price. Unfortunately, I don't think the T400 would quite really command that sort of pricing. The Australian dollar is hovering just on the threshold of 69 cents. It's sitting at about 70.7 or 70.8. I mean, I would dearly love to see it hit 65 in the next week or two, because I've got some decent sized bills to pay, and I would like to pay them by converting my US dollars over. A Commutix and Zentek's here. Hey Zentek, what has it been, 2 years? Should be good. Tony W's here, now the trouble has started. And of course I will be waiting for things like LTC to hit. You know, if LTC gets below $50 US, then yeah, I'm going to buy a bunch of it. Okay, I'm definitely replacing this clock chip. It's a very important chip. If cannot speak. If this chip gets upset and it generates something other than 3v3 out for the RTC LDO output, that is when it destroys your PCH. So yeah, buy a bunch of these chips if you're working on these machines, and yeah, be prepared to throw them out on a regular basis. Oh, Zentek, I mean, you're allowed to be busy. It's called, you know, making a living for yourself and all that sort of stuff. I don't expect you to be here. I guess I'm just acknowledging that I remember you and welcome back. Welcome back to me making a great big fat Hershey's kiss there. Let's clean it up using our chisel tip. See, that's why you don't use micro pencils for that sort of work. Alright, I think there's enough solder on those pads all around. I should be able to do the transfer. Yeah, Commutix, that's right, yeah, LTC Litecoin. I don't know why I have a preference for Litecoin over BTC or Ethereum, but I do. There's probably no real reason for me having that preference. All I know is I do. Ah, Victor, good to see you. And no, I haven't been practicing, I'm sorry, I am ashamed. Like I said, the only reason why I would grab LTC if it drops below 50 is because there's an extremely high likelihood that it's going to swing back over 100 pretty, you know, within 12 months. And so, yeah, doubling your investment in 12 months, that's pretty good going. Did you manage to get anywhere with the Samsung tablet? I did not, no. I haven't done anything with it. I basically just got to get back to the client and say, you know, it's a charge controller issue most likely. Not really financially, economically viable, I should rather say. You do have to accept sometimes that you got to walk away from some jobs as a customer. I need Dogecoin. I don't think I need Dogecoin, even if my great hero Elon Musk is the one promoting it. I like a lot of what he does. I think he's done a lot of good, but I'm not going to do everything. I'm not following him on everything. I'm going to follow him on things that I feel like are viable. which I'm sure is probably what he prefers. Okay. I'm just having another cursory glance over the board. At least the nice thing is, when I go to 60 on this camera, I can do this sort of panning and you will be able to see what I'm seeing mostly. Whereas I know with the 30 frames per second, when I pan like this, it just turns into a blurry mess for you all. Oh yeah, I've got to get rid of this JTAG, yeah, that's right. So no smoking weed on my podcast. I don't have a problem with weed, but it's not for me. I think the important thing with any investment into crypto is make sure it's money that you can afford not to have. Don't go investing with money that you need to use for food or bills or anything like that. That's just begging the universe to turn around and make things go bad for you. Weed stinks though. When I was at university, I would occasionally get invited to parties, as you'd expect, and there was always a couple of people at those parties exercising their choices, and you could always tell. Like I said, I really didn't have a problem with it. I still don't. It's like most things. Then again, things like meth are a different ball game altogether. Just the fact that they wreck you so quickly. Absolutely decimate your brain chemistry. Alrighty, this looks pretty good. Probably a bit hot. I'll stick it into the cooler. Communix, I went to James Cook University up here in Townsville. I did the computer systems engineering and computer science degrees. I started out with the engineering and then I sort of went down and drilled down a bit more into computer science. Of course, computer science at that course, it's basically just specialized applied math. It's not really programming or anything. It's math. It's like, okay, let's work out the various different scheduling algorithms that we can come up with for, say, memory management paging systems. You know, what are their behavior patterns? What's the worst case scenario, best case scenario, all that sort of stuff. You know, so that's why it's applied math, because you're doing math, but it's for a specific, real world purpose scenario. Some people really love theoretical math, dealing in things like axioms and just all that fundamental core math stuff. Yeah, that's not for me. My two best courses were Advanced Computer Graphics and Algorithms and Complexity. Okay, so now we don't have a frickin' blink. Oh, now we get a blink there. Why is this slow? Or is it just me being anxious? I don't know. Oh no, look, it died. Fucking thing died. What the hell is going on? Hey, full wave. Yeah, this is another one that's basically just died. And again, you know how when I started handling this board and I said that the slowness was preemptive of this failure mode that I'm expecting to see. So I'm going to put the fan in, and I'm very curious to see if it does the dreaded fake start. Okay, so it spins up. I may have to just dig a board out of one of my existing machines or something like that and give it to him, because yeah, this is a real pain. Yeah, this isn't behaving quite the same way, but one thing, you probably can't see it on the camera because it's very subtle, but the fan spin rate changes. This is actually quite different because it is getting to the point where it boots and we have CPU activity and then it shuts itself down. This is a unique behavior. I have not seen that behavior before. Did QA what, qualitative analysis? I'm trying to grab that 2x4. That 2x4 was actually an 8x2, but still hurt. Okay, so why would it be doing this? What are the possibilities? Let's see. Maybe it's a current issue. Is it dead CPU? But see, things we do get a blinking on our output. So what fault is happening here that's causing it to shut down just a few seconds after it fires up? Now the question is this repeatable? So like if I plug this back in, will it do the same thing straight away? And if it is, then that's kind of a good sign, I think. I'm just trying to make myself happier here. So it could be sensor related, the temperature threshold, something like that. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't stay on long enough for us to be able to boot to diagnose. Now I could take the SMC off this and put it on here, but I really don't want to do that because it's already killed 3 SMCs. So that's basically, yeah, see, it just gets started and then dies. Maybe it's a RAM issue, I don't know. Pot the board and drying. That's the other possibility, is it could be some junk on the board. Like it could be even something on the JTAG connector here, so let's clean that. I have occasionally had boards where you put them through the wash cycle and they come up good. Believe me, they go through a hell of a lot of rigorous testing after that. It's like before I send them out. Yeah, these sort of faults, they're the kind of thing that you generally are very disinclined to send back to a customer, even if you can get it to work for 3 days non-stop, particularly if the customer has already sent the machine back to you as faulty after warranty. Use the infrared camera. There's not a lot of heat coming out of it when it shuts down. If you look at the current up the top, okay, so we got normal current there, so like, 600 odd milliamp is very normal for a 165. So then we drop. That's the weird thing. We get this 390, 380, 400 region drop in power. and that unnerves me. I'm not sure what's shutting down on the board. You know, it should persist in blinking. Yeah, it should not shut down, because if you have no boot device on these machines, it will keep running, and if you have a display connected, it'll come up with a blinking folder to let you know that you've got no bootable device. Alright, so we're going to go for the thermal test here. I'm just going to give it a general heat up, see if it changes the behavior. We do it in moderately smallish kind of steps, rather than massively heat soaking it. The other thing I'll do next is I'll plug a battery in. But like I said, the thing that concerns me here is that I know I get a little bit anxious. I jumped the gun a little bit soon. I'm worrying about the 165. Okay, see, I got a full fan. I get a full fan spin there. Like it's going flat out and then it shuts down. So I'm going to plug a battery in and see if that changes its behavior at all. Like whether it maintains it running, in which case do we have an issue with the ISL, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, high probability of PCH issues, particularly that we had corrosion right underneath the PCH. Okay, so it is charging. So we can see we've got 1.3, 1.5 amps going into it. The question here is whether it will persist in staying on, or whether it will actually shut everything down. And I can feel that fan is running flat out. So I'm going to say it's probably sensor related. Okay, it shuts itself down fully, so it's current consumption or... yeah. Okay, let's have a look at our ISL lines and see if we can find any issues with the resistances. Yeah, Miles, that's always fun trying to get the timing right on those. Resistance... 311's right. I'm pretty much on the money. 20's right. Okay, so no big issue there. Let's have a look at the SMC on the edge and see if there's any corrosion on it. What tools would you recommend to start with for SMD rework? Well, you definitely want a stencil. It depends on whether you want to go paste or pre-made. But yeah, stencil, 0.35 balls. There's a little bit of corrosion on that cap, that's right, but I don't think that's really going to be an issue. Famous last words. There does appear to be some brushing marks, though, here. Have a look at this. You can see how there's brush marks. But, like I said, I can't see any corrosion, so it could just be general, you know, knock some dust off type behavior. Okay, that cap actually does look a little gnarlier than I expected, so I might replace that. Let's have a look at the cap from the side, see if there's any obvious damage on it. Yeah, it doesn't look that bad really. Anyway, we'll replace it regardless. But yeah, with reballing SMCs, really, there's no more or less in terms of tools compared to pretty much anything else on the board. It does help if you can get one of those synthetic rock holders. When you see me do an SMC reball, you see that I've got it sitting in a recessed cavity. It's actually meant for something else, but I found that it fits an SMC well enough in there. And I'd say without having that sort of recessed cavity holder, it would be quite a bit harder to do SMCs. The important thing about that recessed cavity holder is that it, unlike say the aluminium holders that you typically get when you get a reballing kit, that synthetic rock doesn't suck the heat away from the chip quite so severely, whereas the aluminium ones, they'll just drain. So what you'll end up with, and you see this happen on quite a few videos where you've seen people reball or reflow paste on an SMC that's in the holder, you'll notice that the corner ones where the aluminium holder is sitting or in contact with the chip, they take a long time before they reflow. Now the reason why I don't want to just casually replace sensor chips here too much is because we do have signs of liquid damage, so it would make more sense that we would find something that is also damaged with a bit of corrosion than it would be for a random part to have just died or been misbehaving. Whoops. True professionals use the Wagner stripper heat gun. True professionals use a chainsaw. So here we go now. This is becoming a very frustrating series of streams by the fact that I'm not making any real progress. Swiftsilver, the big problem with it depends which eBay stations you're talking about. Like, the biggest culprits in terms of making your life incredibly difficult and sapping your sense of progress are the ones where, with the hot air stations, where they have the fan inside the handle. If you have the fan inside the handle, this thing's just died again. Those units just cannot get the amount of thermal energy into the board quickly enough to let you get parts off before you start turning everything to a field of crispy black electronics. So you really do want to get one that's got the pump or fan inside the main body of the station. And Quick has a fairly cheap one. I think Union Repair sells it, and it's under $100. It's comparatively simple, but it will do a much better job compared to those in-handle blower units. But realistically, you're probably still better off jumping up to something like even one of the BST quick clones, something like that. Something that's got a solid kilowatt hour of power or something like that. because you definitely notice it when you're trying to get hefty parts off these boards. But it's something about the current. Well, so far the current sense resistors haven't been misbehaving, but yeah, there's more than one, obviously. Okay, fuse is fine. Just making sure we didn't have the dreaded zombie fuse. It could be the ISL. Replacing that ISL is a bit of a dirty Hail Mary. It's like, well, I don't know what's wrong, so I'm just going to replace the ISL. I know it's charging fine. I'm just looking to see if there's any corrosion or anything around the CPU gen rail stuff. It's interesting that it does come up and, you know, it actually does boot momentarily before going for the shutdown, yeah. Just might pop that bit of silicon off. Why are you not shilling your equipment like Lewis does, affiliate? You know, I do have my tools page, but I do forget to keep updating it. Oh, hello, did you see that? What's that? Look at that. That's not even attached. That's freaking factory, mate. That is some quality factory work. And there's a bit of junk under it. Hello, and guess what? That's a temperature sensor. I already know it is from the style of it. Okay, here it is, Q5830. And yep, it's a temperature sensor. Thermal sensors. Yep. But that's kind of crazy how that really was not sitting down. That was basically the only reason. Look, it just came right off then. Touching it, we got a bit of liquid damage under here, and it was barely even on there in the first place. Wow. Impressive. So essentially it was the silicon protector stuff that was effectively holding that down, like actually physically forcing it down onto the board to make it work. Now the only reason why I looked there is because we did have the corrosion around the J-tag, and I do know from prior experience that stuff can get down underneath behind the supposed protective cover, and when it gets under there you can't see it until you remove it, which is what we did. Okay, so we're going to get a replacement. And you can see by the way that they have done these blobs, it actually, while it protects it from the bottom side here, it doesn't protect it from the top side. You can see it's fully exposed there. So liquid and junk can still get in there. They needed a bigger blob. It's not to say it's fixed, but that's pretty damning. Let's see if this one just comes right off. It does too. Holy shit, they all just come off like that. That's crazy. I'm barely touching those. Have we found a signature fault? I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know they're still delicate little parts, but that is excessively delicate. $2. Oh yeah, J2 cents special. I did see that video. I couldn't. Yeah, that was funny. I like the way they're just sort of basically going, all right, let's just back away slowly from it. It's doing its job. We're all good. Okay. For all the excitement we have here, thinking we may have found the solution, we don't really know until we put this down and see how it behaves. For all we know, we're just beating on a little part that really doesn't have a lot of strength. Yeah, the J2 thing was unfortunate. And you could see straight away there's no way that soldering setup that he was using was going to be able to provide enough heat for him to successfully solder that, especially not for the short time he was trying. And yeah, that's not really his fault per se, because yeah, if you're not experienced with soldering, you don't really know what cues you're looking for. You don't know what behavior to expect. So from his perspective, when he did stick it down and it sort of stuck, from his perspective, if he hasn't had a lot of experience with soldering, he would consider that to be, it has a connection. So, you know, I'm not blaming him on that. It was just more impressively entertaining. It was a wood burning kit. Oh man. That does make it funny. Alright, so here we go. Alright. I've got my fingers here so I can feel for the fan speeding up. We're probably not going to get a win. It was probably we've just had a moment of excitement that's going to disappoint us. Fan's speeding up again. So that's not a good sign. Yep. It wasn't it. What's this? I'm streaming up at 86k bit, 8.6 megabit. We having trouble with the stream? I actually do want to try 10 megabit anyway. We'll try 9.5. Apply. What's the other thing I wanted to change? Yep, that's all. Okay. Hey, Rodrigo. Alright, so that basically was not the fault. Damn it. I was really hoping it would be. It would have been very nice for that to have been the fault. We can try to change the chip itself. Let's see, U5800. The only trouble with U5800, of course, is it does sit. Yeah, it's this chip right in the middle here, and it's so very rarely that. Not the power supply, no, we're at 18 volts, 5 amp. Yeah, every time I get to the point where I think this chip is going to be at fault, it really isn't. Let's have a look back down where we had the corrosion. Maybe there's something we missed. I mean, it looks pretty gnarly down there. Let's try to clean it up. It's buffering now and then. Yeah, I'll have a look and see what my stats are. Tools. View stats. Okay, according to my stats, we have only lost 66 frames out of 300,000. Frames missed due to rendering lag. Okay, we've lost about, yeah, we've lost a couple from frames missed due to rendering lag. That's interesting. Keep an eye on those stats. Could be while I'm running Flexboard View. Particularly when you're searching on Flexboard View, it can suck up a bit of resources. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting one. Not sure what to attack next. It does seem like it's something to do with CPU current. No, this is not Montreux. This is an entirely different, this is a brand new board that we're working on. The 165 and 3437 SMC stencils are the same. I may have to switch to 50 frames per second. Let's see. Obviously I can't change that now midstream. I don't think there are... Let's see, stream, output... I'm not sure what my profile options are. Like I've got constant bit rate, variable bit rate, something else. I've got various levels, profiles. I've got constrained baseline versus main versus high. Yeah, I'm really not sure what else I can change. Catherine, the trouble is this is the replacement board. The main board we have keeps eating SMCs, and I am done with that. I'm just going to cancel that. Schematics. Okay, so these are my stats. Settings. And it's output. So these are my encoding settings. Maybe I can... So yeah, there's a few situations where my rendering time is a bit poor. So I'm not really sure what else I can tweak around here in Open Broadcaster. See, normally when you have the standard output mode, you get things like the ultra fast, very fast, fast, and so on type encoding options. Whereas when you are using the VA API, it changes all that. So I don't know whether adding or improving my bit, increasing my bit rate helps or not. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely dropping the occasional frame, and I'm seem to be persistently dropping back to 50. You're generally better off with VBR, constant quality. Okay. We can try VBR. We'll crash everything now. The rendering time just seems to be getting worse. I would have thought having a higher bitrate would help it. Because yeah, it doesn't have to work as hard to try and fit the frame within the constraints of the bitrate. Oh, maybe that's something for another day, maybe. CQP is constant quality. Okay, well, we don't probably care so much about that. Yeah, overhead. Why the stream is buffering on one board 3 days? What? I'm using Ubuntu. Yeah, this is very quirky. Like I said, it feels like it's something to do with the CPU current, but yeah, for all we know, it actually could be RAM related. Maybe it's failing. It tries to load up something in RAM and it dies. Still can't get over that temperature transistor, the sensor transistor, because yeah, that thing just falls off at the blink of an eye. That's crazy. I figured if you set the minimum, the max to 0, sorry, the minimum to 0, it just sort of more gives it more leeway. It can decide what it wants to do on its own. Yeah, max bit rate. Okay, we'll try 8500. 85 million. I don't think so. The problem, Daniel, is that it is booting, but the issue is that it won't remain booted. It just shuts itself down. Okay, encoder is overloaded. I'm going to go back to my original settings before I thought I would. Okay, CBR, apply. Okay. Alright, it's not complaining now, so we're going to go back. We're basically back to where we were originally, and it seems happy. Seems too early for RAM to come. Possibly, yeah. Felix, I think when you do 60 frames per second, you can actually push it out to a bit more than that. So I'm fairly sure you can get out to 8500 or so. Well, I'm going to be dumb, okay? So please don't follow me on this one, but I'm going to be dumb and replace the ISL. Just in case maybe its current sensing circuitry is dodgy. I have very little belief that that is the culprit. But at this point I'm sort of going for the easy options because it's getting later. But whatever it is, it has to be, the signal has to be one that can shut down the entire system straight away. Small chips are right. Yeah, if you want to play along, you need to get the board view up and give me a chip number, sorry to say. Because remember also, I get the advantage of a much better optical view here. So what you may think is a burn mark or a crack or something like that doesn't seem apparent here because I see it in much greater clarity. And I can either see that it's actually just a little piece of hair or just a slight discoloration as opposed to an actual fault that it may seem like on your side. To right of that chip. I see if you're maybe talking about this sort of stuff, that's just flux. Yeah, I need a number. I need a chip number. Sorry, I know it's difficult, but and also the fact that I'm lagged or you're lagged by 30 seconds or so makes it difficult. So this is a 165 board. Eyeballs working okay? Yeah. More like 16K at least. 144 frames per second, thank you very much. It's supposed to replace the ISL. Ah, damn it. I mean the chip before the... yeah. At least they were nice on this particular part of the board. See, they've got this corner missing here. That's let you know that that's pin 1. It'd be nice if they did that on more of the pads. Oh well, can't have everything your own way. The other big thing that looking through the microscope versus on the camera has is that I have stereoscopic vision. And that helps a considerable amount. So I've got stereoscopic vision, higher resolution, greater color clarity, and depth because of the stereoscopic. So yeah, I mean, I know I've watched more than enough live streams with people like Lewis and such, and I know how very easy it is to see something and think it's the fault, and it just ends up being a piece of junk. Alright, so here we go. Miles, you sort of, not Miles, Mark, you really need the board view to be able to pick out the numbers. Yeah, that is why we have board views. Without the board view you can't, it's not easy to know what the part numbers are. It's still taking way too long to bring. I know I'm getting impatient, but that still takes way too long to come green. It's like there's something slowing down the whole system entirely. Okay, let's go voltage mode, see if we can find anything. See what our various important points are. Okay, this is one thing to look at. It's actually running at 344, so it's running 20 millivolts above what it should be, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but that is actually out of spec. That is technically out of spec, as far as I can tell. Okay, we've got no... Okay, so... It's interesting, yeah. SMC's up and running. It's wiggling a little... There's definitely something's going on there. Yeah, that's jumping all over the place. The trouble is everything's super hot, so I can't... I'll bring out the camera, but everything's super hot at the moment. It's time to bring out the gym cam. It's funny because there's actually two gym cams. There's the overhead gym cam that you're looking at right now through, and there's the infrared gym cam. Leek and fish fingers, that's actually pretty nice. Alright, Mark. I know it can be very frustrating, Mark. I do understand that. Believe me, the number of times that we've been yelling and screaming on Rossman streams, and it's frustrating. The only way to really be able to communicate with these streams in terms of pointing out parts is if everybody has a copy of the board view through open board view or whatever, and then we can actually share part numbers and things like that. That's about the only way it is effective to communicate. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, I understand it's frustrating. Been there, done that, suffered it a lot. Okay, our biggest problem here is that we do have a lot of heat from just all the rework. So I'm gonna get my heat displacer. And things are still... The CPU is showing as if it's hot, but it's not really. We have a 1 watt consumption. And we may have to wait a while for this board to calm down. And I'm not going to do a scope job. It does concern me that the CPU is retaining quite a bit of heat still. Oops. Alright, our ISL is actually getting warm here. Is here? Yeah, that's our ISL, and it is getting warm. But that's relative. And let me guess, our SMC's got little touches of heat building up in it. There. Yeah, this is the Fleur 1 Pro, but it's running custom software on Linux, and unfortunately that custom software is not available at this point. I'm sorry, it's nothing personal against anyone, but I just can't let it out in the wild yet. So why would the ISL be getting warm? Interesting. I guess what we should do here is do a diode mode, compare the diode mode on each of the ISL pins and see if anything is a little unusual. I mean, that is why we have diode mode measurements available. Yeah, it could be the SMC, and this one is food. Well, we'll see. Ha! Just realizing quad view, the face cam's broken, kind of. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Should be 960. 480. 5. What? 540. There we go. Okay, close. Hey, Peter 1466. Alright, so what we're going to do is we'll open Broadcaster. Ah, damn it, not open Broadcaster. Cancel. Flexboard view. 165. Go down to the ISL. And we start doing diet node. Daniel, like I said, it is only Linux, so, and it's very sort of flaky, as it were. Ah, I'm an idiot. I just realised I can plug into the ground using the Chipmunk, because the Chipmunk has a ground banana plug on it. So we just sort of put the positive lead in there, and then all we have to do is just probe around. So we're just gonna, let's see, go pin 1. Okay, so 0.63, that's fine. We're just looking for things that are way out. 6.1, so that's fine. 5, 4, 7. What? Don't scratch those pins across. 0.47. Okay, so 0.47 versus 0.4 is a little bit out of range, but okay, we'll keep that in mind. 7.1's pretty good. 0.05. Okay, that's pretty good. 0.7. Yeah, that's good. 5, fine. 7's good. 5, 5. Next two should be 5. Yep, 5. 5. Yep. 3. Yep. 4, 8, 5. That's close enough. 4. 4, 7. Okay, SMC, BC, ACOK is a little on the low side, but okay. Let's see, here we go. 7.1, yeah. 6.5, a little on the high. That's charge B gate. Okay, what's going on there? I'm drifting, that's what's going on. 0.12, okay, 0.1, yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, if you try to take these values as absolutes, you know, must be within 1%, you're going to have a terrible time. And that is why I was rather disinclined to even bother with 2 decimal places, let alone 3 decimal place. 1, 2, yep. 666 basically. 6, 6, 6. So yeah, I wouldn't really say that those values are massively out. Mark's talking about R7101. Oh, okay, let's have a look. Yeah, that's just got a laser mark on it. That's what you're probably looking at. You're looking at this little mark here in the middle. That is a laser trim mark. You'll find them on all resistors usually. Even the little, like over here. See them? Laser trim, laser trim, laser trim, laser trim. There's a smidge there and there. But anyway, yeah, most of these resistors will have laser trim marks on them. So I guess the question is, what is making the ISL get warm, or is it a case of the ISL's just, warm? Because it is producing 8.6, to run the SMC. Well, I guess what we can do is try warm up the SMC, see if it changes in behavior. Yeah, laser trim marks are something that catch out a lot of people initially, because you sort of think, hey, it's a faulty part, it's got a crack in it, but it's a laser trim. And hopefully you will be able to advise someone of that in the future now. And they say, that's a faulty part, or that looks dubious, you'll be able to go, aha, it's a laser trim. Any region problem? I don't even know if it's getting to that point. And this, I'd be very surprised if this has any ME issues or BIOS issues, because it probably isn't. I'll tell you what, I can put another BIOS on there just to see if it even boots beyond that first bit. There's always that possibility that the BIOS might be corrupt. But so again, like I said, this is taking too long, and then it shuts down straight after that. So, alright, let's try a BIOS swap. Sometimes it can happen. There is a little bit of smidgy around there, but nothing bad. We did have the corrosion around the clock chip, so I suppose it's not entirely implausible. I'll just mark this so that I know it's the right one. Okay. Mind you, if this does go into the client's machine, then I'll be reflashing this BIOS anyway. That's my tweezer laser trim. Hey Alvin, thank you. Yes, I very much enjoy having 60 frames per second. Much nicer, although unfortunately under the microscope view we do not have such, but we will get there. I've already ordered the camera, it's just a case of it arriving, and unfortunately China is on the Chinese New Year holiday, so they will not be back until next month. But the order is in. The seller has acknowledged they have received the order, and so that means as soon as the shops are open and stuff is moving again, they'll send it on its way. Keith, depends on the sort of jobs I'm doing, but board repairs and stuff like that, like MacBook type jobs, they're done by the job. Of course, you know, I get to make the call on when I decide, okay, you know what, this is a no fix. There is a certain level of parts that I will cover on that job, beyond which I will then switch to say, look, you know, I'll just sort of go, hey, that was a 3437 that I pulled. The freaking, I thought it felt bigger. 3437 has a larger BIOS chip than the 165. Anyway, yeah, like, I mean, if their trackpad or keyboard or something like that is damaged, then I'm not covering that in my cost. My cost is for the logic board repair. They said $12.98. Oh, well, I hope your repair is doing better than mine said. Because this one is sending me out the wall to the point where I might have to cash in a favour or generate a favour and see if I can get some insight from the truly smart people in this industry, such as, say, Paul S. Paul S has this incredible innate ability to solve a lot of complicated problems. You know, he has a lot of background knowledge in his head from experience, so I may have to resort to that. I'll also have a look at the wiki. You never know, the wiki might have something. Okay, so while we don't have the proper BIOS in here at the moment, that's okay. It allows us at least to check if it's going to get somewhere. With the incorrect BIOS in it, we will get behavior such as it maybe not fully boot, as in if you've got a disk drive in there, and it sort of, usually it will stop at around about 2/3 of the progress bar, or it may get all the way and then it'll shut down 20 minutes later, things like that. Pardon me. But it should get us beyond this just starting to blink and then shutting down type business. How about Pionov? I mean, yeah, Pionov is not quite as much into the Macs. Pionov is more of a PC laptop person. I mean, he knows his Macs, but it seems his greatest strength is with the PC world. Yeah, that dip in the current is worrying me. You'll see how it goes from 600 and drops down to 400. I'm not sure what's causing that. Okay, it's a blink. Holy shit, it was BIOS. Bad BIOS. I would not have picked that. Not in a hurry. For me, if that was me, I would have probably tried the JTAG and then a temperature sensor, and then I would have probably replaced the ISL. I would have done a few other things before I ended up replacing the BIOS. Yeah, that's sort of how I would have done it. Yeah, that is a new one. I haven't seen that behavior, so that is interesting. So now we have to actually reflash this BIOS, which is fine. Unfortunately, I do not have my new programmer yet, so we are going to be stuck with the 2 minutes per programming session. That's okay. Yeah, that's a new one for me. So that one, someone can put that into the Rossmann wiki. I'd appreciate if they did that. Yeah, David, you guessed right. Well done. Alright, so now we're going to do some programming. Now I don't know whether that chip was faulty or whether it just got corrupted, but I'm going to assume faulty. I'm not going to use it. I'll use the one that's on this board. Always learning. Yep, always learning. Yeah, I'll discard the old chip because, like I said, you don't know whether it's a dodgy chip or it's got bad flashing on it, just throw it in the bin. There's no point trying to save pennies or anything like that, because I've got a stack of 165 boards that, you know, yeah, anyway. Okay, so we need to create this new BIOS chip. Hey Harold, good timing. Well done Harold, well done. Good timing. By the way Harold, I've been using the MagSafe tester quite a bit, so thank you very much for that, appreciate that. Okay, so I can't even remember what job number this is anymore. It's been back and forth so much that I've forgotten. I think it's 1173. Yeah, 1173. There we go. Should have had that up all along. Okay. CP clean. It's nice having that MagSafe tester, because yeah, it really does let me know whether I'm looking at something that's twitchy or not. Yeah, it's good. Thank you. Yes. Now, what I've got to do here is actually make sure I get the right serial number plugged in. Firecracker. Let's forget that. You got a 639H3, 639H2. QD. And then you got to put the last four here, H3QD, which actually define the type of board and stuff. All right. So we save that. We put that into background, and then we go we load up the same binary file into the EFI modder sys, and we need this bit here, which is our checksum. I'm just gonna Nieman. Okay, now we put our checksum down. Whoop, too far. Okay, starting there, and it's got to go in backwardsy, so to speak. So 133A, 133A, E5FE, E5FE. Save. Close that. We load it again, and this time, oops, not in the region. This time it should show us that it is valid. So that's what we had to do. And so now that should work. So close. I'm just going to put that chip onto a holder and solder it across. Oops. Not, yeah, it's, I really don't find it a pain to do it. It's pretty routine for me now. I could probably script it if I wanted. I will say the one advantage though of doing it this way, and this is nothing against the Medusa, because yeah, the Medusa is very nice. It'd save a lot of time. But in this particular instance where we have a chip that's corrupted, and we don't know whether it was good or bad, yeah, you're going to have to pull the chip either way. But again, you could just put a fresh chip down and then reprogram it with the Medusa anyway, so... Twink. Stick it on our cheap, nasty little carrier. Let's hit it with 470, why not? Yeah, I did it. The base file that I used already has the ME cleared, so it's a clean ME template file. Ugh, Nemo, what are you doing? But I like these carriers, Harold. I do have the push-down flip ones. Yeah, the little captive cage ones where you push it down, the arms come in and grab them. I'm genuinely quite content here. You've already sent me so much stuff. I'll tell you one thing that I do have to do though, Harold, is you know the little chips that they use for this the USB-C firmware? They have a very odd pitch on them. I have to generate a board for those. I don't know if you know the ones I'm talking about, but they're actually all over these boards. They're everywhere. Let me find one. You watch, I won't be able to find one in a hurry. Where are they? These things. These storage chips, these memory chips, these ones here I need to make a carrier for. And they're very peculiar pitch. I think it's like, I don't even know what it is, I can't remember, but nothing I have and nothing I've been able to get a hold of is a sufficient match. It's a very fine pitch, but yeah, I was just going to do a run of 10 boards or something with a whole bunch of those pads on them. Yeah, it's a EEPROM sort of chip. But they see, the reason why I want to get one of those is because they use these chips with the USB-C models to hold the Thunderbolt firmware, and they frequently get corrupted. So it'd be nice to get a holder, etc., or, you know, a board, so that we can read and read that firmware, keep it in storage for future events, and then of course reprogram them. Thank you everybody for reminding me that I did not even program that damn chip. I just took that chip, put it onto the carrier, and then took it off. You people call yourselves backseat repair people. You're terrible. Damn it. Tony, I'm not really sure. All I know is that they said it died. Oh, and also this board isn't the one that... This is not the original customer board. This is a donor board. Yeah, that was... I blame Harold for that one, to be honest. He distracted me. You all saw it. You know it's true. You're on strike for better pay. I'll tell you what, I'll double what I'm paying you right now. How's that sound? Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. We'll call it a brain fart and leave it at that. But it was rather weird to do that. Okay, chip is in. Okay, history. Okay. I'm fairly sure it was the MX one, but you know, we'll know if it's not. It is, yeah. And now we wait for the 2 minutes. Let's see. Of course, Tony, it's quite possible that the original board, where I got it from, maybe the Mac that it was in, actually, mind you, it did have corrosion on it. It had corrosion with one of the power good lines. It had corrosion on the clock generator chip. It had bits of corrosion everywhere. And the more amusing thing was just how weakly the temperature sensor is bonded onto these boards, or one of them. Check the solder legs on that chip. Which one? Because are you talking about what's going on right now in here, or something else? Yeah. Cue the elevator music while we wait for it to be slow. Hey, KDO. Yeah, it was extremely fast flashing. I'm not sure when my new device will turn up. Now that I've been reminded that it is the Chinese New Year period, it explains why so many of my parcels that I was expecting have not arrived. But well, that should be over soon. The one I'm copying, I'll have a look. I mean, the solder quality on here doesn't really matter too much. It can be very dodgy. And it's working, so you know it's doing the erasing, protections off, writing seems to be doing okay. You can see it all happening up here. Yeah. Just waiting for it to do its thing. RTA 809. Oh, I've got a new one coming, so I've got the Mini Pro 866 Pro version. This is the CS version, so I've got the Pro version coming now. Well, Andrew, the people sending me the stuff have said they're going to be sending it on February 1st or something like that, so it's coming soon. That's right, Osis. You never know what you're going to get here. You never know. I figured you'd rather watch the percentage go up rather than me trying to show off my armpits. CH341. I know of that one. Yeah, it is painfully slow, so I'm going to be happy to move to the new one. Although, I mean, if it wasn't for streaming, then honestly, I wouldn't care too much. Because, I'd just fire this off and go walk out, do another job, or, start up an ultrasonic clean or something like that, and then come back to this when it's done. What size is your microblade pencil tip? Just ordinary JVC micro. That's a good question. These are the T30KNs, and I'm not really sure. That's 45-degree bevel. No, I don't really know. 1 or 2 millimeter. You can get the. Oh, there we are. It's done. With the T30 tips, the smallest conical tip you can get is 0.1 millimeter, whereas say with the T12 series or T15 series, the higher, the smallest you can get is a 0.2 millimeter. Jason Vilmer uses the 0.1 millimeter conical tip for his iPhone work, but I find for MacBook work in general, the KN is the better chip. The better tip to be using. Mostly because you want the versatility. There's a lot of different sort of contacts you're making on the MacBook boards, whereas with the iPhones, almost everything, even at 0.1 millimeter, is even that's feeling a bit large sometimes. Come on, you are not liquid in the middle yet, I know. Now you are. So what is the pin pitch of this chip? Which one are you talking about? This one or those other ones I was looking at? What made you suspect the firmware? To be honest, it was a case of running out of other easy options. I did not have any real reason. Look, if I'm being completely honest, the only thing that gave me hope that maybe it could have been something rather than the CPU or PCH was the fact that it was booting, but then it shut down. But I got to admit, the severity of the shutdown, the fact that it shut down straight away, genuinely did make me think it was going to be something CPU current or temperature related, not BIOS. BIOS was definitely not on my... And of course, someone made the suggestion. Sorry, I've already forgotten. Yeah, someone made the suggestion, so I thought, well, you know what, it's an easy enough thing to test, so we'll do the test, and what do you know, when we did the test, it showed up as being, it booted, so, yeah. We'll call that a spot of good luck, if nothing else. That's all. Just luck. No talent. Pure luck. Let's see, let's have a look at the KN30 tip, see what it is. T30 KN. They're expensive little tips, that's for sure. T30KN, 1.4, 45 degrees. Okay, so there you have it. It's, 1.4 width, 0.8 thickness. Yeah. Whereas, I don't know what I'll go to mechatronics. These are the people that I buy my stuff from. For Hacker, anyway. Let's see, T30. Ah, great, so it gives me all the torque stuff. Hilarious. T30 KN. Ah, damn it. I hate it when websites do not give you a category breakdown or drill down. Like up here, I would like to see tools / soldering equipment / tips, and then you can just go back up one level. But instead from here, you've got nowhere to go. So T30. It's annoying. I've got IKBC. Oh, here we go. This is it. Yeah, T30i is the 0.1 mil. It isn't a tip that I would recommend for using on MacBooks because you really can't get a lot of heat out of these conical tips. They seem like they could be useful, but when you've got to get some heat transfer, it's just not going to happen. You could probably do something with the T30J here, just simply by the fact that you can use the 3mm back edge. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe Jason actually has like the T30D06. It says that 0.6 by 0.3. I don't know. Maybe ask him. Yeah, the Hacko tips are expensive, but they do last a long time and they do work well. So I'm pretty happy with them. I've got no qualms in spending that kind of money, because you think about how much money I make off doing the repair. And they last. Like, I've had that one for a couple of years now, and I use it every day for a few hours, and I leave it in sleep mode all the time. So as far as I understand, that actually does keep it slightly warm, so it, even in sleep mode, it is slowly deteriorating. So yeah, this goes. Cringe when it drops on the floor. Oh heck yeah, yeah. Hey, we got a bong. What we're going to have to do here is make sure this fully boots, and then to make sure it actually has the right serial number in it too. Right, blazing. If this has a dodgy, if the ME is no good on it, it will get to just after sort of like the edge of the Apple logo and it halts. It'll just stay there and that's it. So you left your JVC on for 2 weeks. Oh man. Does the JVC keep it at some sort of pre-warm temperature or something? Or is it completely cold? Okay, well it booted all the way, so that's a good start. It responds to... Yep, everything's good there. Let's see... CO2Q62B... What the hell? Okay, we do not have the right serial number on this. Did I program the wrong thing? Because this one's showing a CO2Q6 and definitely is not that. Okay, so we have the wrong number on there somehow. Shut down. That's very weird. All I can think of is I flashed it with the wrong thing. $11.70. Oh, I did indeed. God damn it. What a pain in my backside. Alright. This is job 1173. Okay. Mr. Daniels programmed job 1175. Moron. For those wondering, it is definitely Harold's fault. He's doing this intentionally. He's using his Jedi mind powers that people like him have in order to make me behave erratically and do obscure things like program the wrong damn BIOS onto things. Definitely Harold's fault again. Called getting tired. It would actually at 2 o'clock in the morning. Holy crap. Still Howard's fault. It's your Jedi mind skill, isn't it, Howard? You know it is. You made changes to 1173, didn't I? Yes, I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, I did the changes to 1173. See, I'm looking here. See that did the hex editing, then did the UFER tool. I just used the wrong one for the actual burn. Ooh, it's a little hot. Boy. Need to get your head checked. Oh, please, I hope not. Hope not. Bang back into the branch. It was a slab of wood. Yeah, the branch was what was actually hiding the wood from my visual. Too many distractions. I would agree with that. Yeah. Harold uses quantum physics for instantaneous mind control over long distances. That must be what it is. Yeah. He probably laced the chipmunks. He probably laced them with some paired paired quantum bits, and I touched them, and now they're in me, and that's how he's doing it. As you can see, it is programming. Ugh, what a silly mistake to make. But at least, you know, this is why you go through the testing process. This is why you boot it up and check these things, because if I didn't do that, then there would now be two computers connecting to the internet with the same number, and while it's not too likely that would cause a lot of problems, it may cause weird issues, and I'm sure Apple would be like, sorry, one of you is not the real one, so can the real 1173 please stand up? Should get JTAG connected with flash in the BIOS. Look, honestly, like I said, I don't do them that often, and I don't mind doing it this way. There are certain tools that, while they can be convenient, can end up just becoming... Like, I've got a bit scope that I bought the other month, and I've used it all of twice, and now it's just something floating around in the back of the shed. I've also got the DSO, and again, I used it a couple of times, and now it just collects dust. There are some tools that you definitely do use all the time, and there are other things that basically just take up shelf space. Hope you don't mess up the other customers' Macbook. No, that one fortunately has been dispatched and returned, so we're all good. Now the problem with the whole JTAG connector thing is to see, okay, fine, you get the one for the 165, you get one for the 3047, and then you end up having to have lots and lots of different adapters, and sooner or later you're going to lose one of them. Or, okay, let me rephrase. Sooner or later I'm going to lose one of those adapters, and then I'm basically up the creek, and I will start not using the tool anymore, and I'll just go back to this. Everybody's different, I will admit. There are some people who do a fantastic job of keeping a fantastic workshop, beautifully organized, everything has its proper place. Sadly, I'm not one of those people. I am a little bit too chaos. Like, I'm driven by the chaos too much. I wish many a time that I was not like that, but as much as I try, it does seem to be somewhat innate to who I am. That's true, Osis. Yeah, there are some tools when you need them, you need them. Yeah, there's sort of speciality tools. Say, like for me, that would be the heat pad that I occasionally bring up for doing iPads. maybe this pretty much is a speciality tool for me. I don't use it that often. What else? There's not too many other things that maybe the other thing would be using the Apple Configurator software on my iMac behind me. Okay, we're done. This is finished. You can never have too many tools. Snap-on deal. Oh yeah. What is the trick with Snap-on? I mean, is a case of, do they sell just very expensive tools, or are they tools that they lease to you or rent to you? Well, certainly I see that almost every mechanic has Snap-on tools, and I see the Snap-on van preying on mechanics, or hovering over them like vultures or vampires. Are the tools really good quality, or is it just more a case of it's what everybody gets? As you can tell, I do not have any Snap-on tools. Alright, that just flicked itself back into place. I'm happy with that. Snap-on have a lifetime warranty. So when it breaks, that's the end of its lifetime and you're out of warranty. I always found the terminology of lifetime to be rather interesting. Like for me, when I was growing up, if you wanted a decent carpentering or power tools and things like that, you'd just go out and you get Makita. And to this day, I still get Makita whenever I can. Although I'm probably going to Haihoki or Hitachi, as they used to be called, for my framing nail gun that I'm looking at. Because they've got a really nice unit. They seem to have managed to get like price, features, and just everything nicely balanced in this particular nail gun. It's a bit like when the Quick 861 DW came out. Prior to the Quick 861 DW, pardon me, you were taking a lot of compromises when it came to hot air. You're either paying completely through the nose, or it was weak, or there were always a lot of expensive limitations with whatever hot air stations were around. But then the Quick 861 came onto the market, and it was just like a great balance, and everything worked how you wanted at a good price. And in many ways, say like the Hakko FX951 was a bit like that too, particularly with the range of tips it offered, like the JSO2 and then the micro pencil support. All brakes are warranted for your human lifetime. Okay, so if you start demanding too much from them, they will put a hitman out on you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my Haihoki framing nailer. It's about it's about $1,000 or so. But you've got no gas cartridges, you've got no compressor, and it has stood the test of time. Like, that's been out for 3-4 years now, and other than a stupid framing hook on it, where you stick it over a beam, everything's pretty much what everyone would want. Organized chaos. David's the one that, of course, told me to consider the BIOS. Alright, let us check this. Okay, about this Mac. C1 MTF. Yes, now that's far more like what it should have been. Okay, so we're good. Alrighty, we are going to leave it at that. So, a bit of an eventful night. This has been a long stream for me, I must say. A bit too long, 2.5 hours. But I'm glad you all stuck around with me. I appreciate it. There we go. And if you disagree with anything I've done, you can leave a comment in the section below, and I will probably either ignore your comment, block your comment, or go running off to my friends and saying, look at this person who made a comment, I don't disagree with me. Please agree with me that they're wrong so that I feel better about myself. Yeah, pretty childish behaviour, but hey, I'm being too honest here, sharing too much with you all. I guess I'm on a high for having actually got a board working after 2.5 hours. And hopefully, when I come back in the morning and plug this in again, it's going to work. As for the one that keeps eating the SMCs, not that one, not that one. I don't know what I've done with it now. I better be careful, it might have escaped. It's escaped and it's running around and it's going to do its best to con me into putting another SMC on it, at which point it will eat another SMC. Oh well. Anyway, I'm all good. We got a board fixed, so I'm happy. This will need to be ultrasonic clean, so I'll do that. Then, dry it up and everything. Test it after that again. And then probably run it for about 3 days before I'm willing to consider sending it back, because like I said, this is a warranty job, even though it's not, and I don't want the customer to have a second bad experience. So Harold, if that serial number changes, then I am definitely going to be sending you an email about finding out how you do the Jedi mind tricks. Alright, I'm out of here. You all take care. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Till then, catch you later.